Why, hello. My name's host Eric, and I'm here today to lead us on an exploration of our bodies. Yes, we've all reached the age now when it's time to begin exploring our bodies. Hi, Ron Allen Swan. In the process of exploring my body this morning, I discovered a shoulder right here that I did not even know existed. And that's why it's important to explore your body. Explore it. Oh, you can't explore that. Explore your identity. Come on. We all know what you are. You're a Ron Allen Salon. No exploration needed. Now your body, though, is full of different parts. For a long time, I just thought I had a face. But after I explored my body, I realized there's a lot of different parts to it. There's this part. There's these parts over here, these flappy parts. I'm just barely breaking the surface here. There's a whole iceberg worth of body parts beneath the surface, I think. Bobby son, I'm not surprised. I've known you for a long time to be a big body explorer. Sky Gear. Let's explore Sky Gear's body. What's that thing? What's that part? Oh, it's his chest. He has one. Exploring our bodies is something that we all need to do when we reach a certain age. And I finally reached that age. I woke up this morning and I was shocked to discover that at long last, I have reached puberty. It's a long time coming. I'm 49 years old. I'm a late bloomer. But I woke up this morning with hair where there previously wasn't any hair. My voice had gotten lower. And I started becoming interested in girls. So I thought, well, I better live stream about this. This is pretty important. It's time for us all to begin exploring our bodies. Our bodies, ourselves. Okay? Everything you ever wanted to know about your body, but didn't know. Now you will. Once you begin exploration. Now, of course, it's generally a good idea to hire a conquistador to lead the exploration of your body. I tried to get Magellan, but he's dead. I mean, in an ideal world, we all have our own Magellan to explore our bodies. But I ended up having to hire somebody off Craigslist. I'll tell you, he did a rough job of it. He was not gentle in exploring my body. No, Sky Gear, I just have sudden onset puberty. I have sudden late onset puberty. But yeah, of course, that's also, people don't realize this. People think that the reason the Native American population went down so much was because of the arrival of Europeans and stuff. That's not actually the truth. Native Americans have an odd genetic skew that causes them not to hit puberty until their 40s. So most Native Americans never got a chance to reproduce because, a Native American woman is only reproductively viable for about 2 years, from 40 to 42. So that's why their populations dove. There's a big misconception that has something to do with smallpox or other diseases. I know. They just, they're late bloomers. Like me. Yesterday, this beard was fake. I woke up this morning, it was grown in for real. Why? A little something I like to call puberty. Puberty. Puberty is a ridiculous word, right? It's like, if you were at a store and you saw a product and it was called puberty, would you want to buy it? I wouldn't. Puberty? What is that? Puberty. I think my next poll might be, which word bothers you most? Puberty? Moist? What are some other words that people don't like? Mucus? No. We're exploring our bodies. You're not exploring my body. Schmegma. Yeah. Okay. So we got moist, we got schmegma, we got puberty. Which word is least pleasant? Which is the least pleasant word? Puberty. Moist. Schmegma. Mucus. Or phlegm. Phlegm. How do you spell phlegm? Yeah, I think so. I need one more. I got phlegm. I got schmegma. I got phlegm. I need one more. Well, serve words, if by winning you mean, have I already fully explored my body? The answer is no. I'm still in the exploration process. I should note to everybody, I have discovered a shoulder over here and a chest area right here. I'm working my way down. No, but it does make me want to put cloud there. It's a fifth option. I mean, pus. What about pus? Pus isn't a very nice word. Pus. That is spelled pus. P-U-S. Pus. What a funny word, pus. All right. Which is the least pleasant word? Puberty, moist, schmegma, phlegm, or pus? Those are all very unpleasant words. Pus is not puss, okay? Pus is very much not puss. Excretion, discharge. Discharge is an unpleasant word. Are there types that like to slay the puss? You know, I would say discharge is worse than excretion. You got interviewed for a voluntary job today and you got it? Wow. You mean they gave you the opportunity to work for free? That's a miracle. So does excretion. Excrete is not necessarily gross. Discharge always makes me think of yeast infection. A telephone befriender? Hey there. Hey. I'm calling. Yeah. Why are you calling me? Who are you? I'm calling up to befriend you. Okay. Do I know you? No, but you're going to be my friend pretty soon. Oh, discharge makes you think of the Army, huh? I guess because I've never been in the military, my immediate response is for discharge is to think of some gross shit coming out of a woman's puss. Why are we exploring our bodies? To discover what's there. I'll update you. So far, I found a shoulder. I found a chest. I found these flappy things on the side of my head. And when I used to think I just had a face, but I determined it's split into different things. It's this gunk. 10 minutes. Rich and I went to the barbershop yesterday. I got my hairs cut off. Looking pretty good, huh? Pretty soon, I'm going to be handsome enough to be a professional befriender. I'll be calling up people. Hey there. I'm Eric. I'm calling up to befriend you. Really? Yep. I am the world's most powerful professional befriender. How many friends are you going to have by the time you're done with this job, Lauren? You're going to have too many friends? Are you worried about that? You talk to lonely old people, huh? You're already doing that, Lauren Cuthbert. You're right here. Helping me. Befriending me. I'm a lonely old person. God. I feel really treated unfairly here. If I'm putting my hood on. It'd be cool to talk to lonely British old people. They all have British accents. Skyke, you make a good point. Okay, we should call them in 10 minutes to ask how long you should wait to call before you call back again. But you do run the risk of what you might call the Keanu spiral, as described in my Keanu Reeves video the other day, where you donate $16,000 to a charity whose purpose is to generate $16,000 for people to call Keanu Reeves. And then eventually it just becomes a vicious cycle. You just spend all day, every day calling the barbershop, asking them when to call back. When they finally say, don't call back, you say, then how am I going to make an appointment? Yes, they do. British people they do have some different body parts, but they also have different names for their body parts. For example, the British call your head your conker. They call your ears your flap ears. It's the old British term for it. They call your chest your front plate. British people have tails because they're pretty close to animals still evolutionarily. British people. One of my famous stories about British decency, fundamental British decency, is the story of the jam boy. You see, when the British went to India to take over India, or whatever they did there, they still wanted to go golfing, of course. You have to golf. So But there's a problem in India when you go golfing. Do you know what the problem is? I'll tell you. Too many bugs, too many flies, too many other kind of insects, you know. It's like, hey, can we get a little civilization on this golf course? So what the British colonials did is they got a local Indian boy and covered him in jam and had him walk next to them as they were golfing so that all the flies would land on him. They called him the jam boy. I've got a good idea. These flies are insufferable. Get one of those small brown things over there. Bring it here. Cover it with jam. Tally ho. Let's go. The links won't wait. Got tea time. Okay. Here I am. Little boy covered in jam. Ah, good. There's a lot of flies landing on me. That's what they're supposed to do. What a bunch of fucking assholes, huh? The French have pleasantly molded buttocks. After they made my buttocks, they broke the mold. So nobody else could have butt cheeks like me. That's how great my butt cheeks are. Each of my butt cheek is an entire butt. I actually have 4 cheeks. So they used to call me the 4-cheek fellow back in school. The Spanish Inquisition was a heroic effort by the noble Christians to protect the purity of their faith from blasphemers and heathens. I think we can all give the Spanish Inquisition a big round of applause. Good job, Spanish Inquisition. They totally deserved it, all those people. You know, don't cross the church. If you do, you're not going to get lucky. Okay, you're not going to get Italian Catholics sent to your house. You're not going to get Swedish Catholics sent to your house. You're going to get Spaniards. That's the last thing you want is Spaniards at your house. Making paella all day long and talking about bullfighting. That's all the Spaniards do. They make paella and talk about bullfighting all day long. How many Spaniards does it take to screw in a light bulb? 3. 1 to kill the bull, 1 to get drunk, and 1 to screw in a light bulb. It's my Spaniard joke. I just made it up right now. It's hilarious. What's black and blue and travels to Mexico? It's an ink pink. It's a riddle. What's black and blue and travels to Mexico? Ink pink. It's a riddle. It's also an inky pinky, but it's an ink pink. What's black and blue and travels to Mexico? That's right, it's a bruise cruise. A bruise cruise. I made that one up on the toilet earlier. Yeah. Bruise cruise. Okay. Listen. Virtually right now, Lauren Cuthbert, you are in America. So we don't use the word rubbish like that. Say trash. It's much better. Or since we're talking about Mexico, you could say basura. That's trash in Mexico. Look, my butt cheeks do not infinitely regress, Skygear. All right? I got exactly four butt cheeks. Well, see, you didn't give me enough information in the first place. If you had said, Octavia Silva, I called and they said the guy's not in yet, call back in a few minutes, then I would have said wait 20 or 30 minutes. You needed to include that part. Because if you have to call back because the guy's not there yet, well, they don't know when the guy's going to show up. If you have to call back because the guy's busy, that's a different matter. Oh, Skyger, that would have been too easy for you. That would have been too easy. You know it would have been too easy. Then you would have been shitting on me for making it too easy. There's no win around here with you, Skygear. There's no way to win. It's constant double bind. Well, pretty exciting day today. Well, with me being awake, live streaming and everything, exploring my body. Oh, well, I didn't say double blind, actually. Double blind is how you conduct a scientifically robust study. I said double bind, which is a debate term. To double bind somebody in debate is, or usually people double bind themselves by accident, which is to say they've got some argument that's contingent on warrant A, and some other argument that's contingent on warrant B, but warrant B and warrant A can't both be true. So in that case, you've double bound yourself. You've created a situation where this part of your case being true makes this part of your case false, or if this part of your case is true, this part of your case must be false. That's double binding. Ooh, Lauren Cuthbert. She's exploring her body. Actually, I would say, Lauren Cuthbert, it won't be so much you exploring your body as these two debauched older people. Oh, you aren't allowed. Boy, isn't it funny how easily we've come to accept the fact that the government tells us when we can have sex? And that's pretty crazy, right? Pretty fucking crazy. You have 5 couples lined up. What is up with people? There's no way I would ever be interested in getting a third party involved in my relationship with Rachel. 0 chance. I mean, obviously not a dude, but not a chick either. I just have no interest in it at all. It's like doubles tennis. You know? It's like doubles tennis. That court is not designed for 4 people. It's designed for 2 people, okay? But I'm not judging. Don't think I'm judging you, Lauren Cuthbert. You're not doing anything wrong. It's those couples that I'm judging. And the reason I'm judging those couples is because that's not a healthy way to maintain a good relationship. I mean, look, you're a chick. I bet these couples also already have a chick in them. This is just the dude wanting to fuck another chick, you know? It's like, come on. Does his wife really want this? Come Margaret, you know how you're old now and not very attractive? I think we should incorporate into our sex life a hot young chick. What do you think? Yes, I think that's a great idea, darling. I don't have a theory that women can't be bisexual. My theory is that all women are sort of bisexual. My theory is that men can't be bisexual. Unless they're ESFPs. ESFPs will fuck anything. But the point is, I think basically all women are kind of bisexual, but because look, it is the case that when girls become women in their teenage years and stuff, they do stuff that men never do. So for example, girls would be like, Julie, come over here, feel my boobs. Oh, they're growing so much. Ew, it's wonderful. Now touch my vagina. And they go, oh yeah, I feel up in there. It's just like casual conversation between women. They're constantly touching each other. Now feel my butt cheeks. Okay. Let's sleep together in the same bed and cuddle. That's straight women, okay? That's straight women. So, I mean, the reason I don't think men are bisexual is because well, there's a movie I saw one time with Christina Ricci in it. I don't remember what it was called, but her character says something like this in the movie. The American bisexual male. The last step before full blast Mo. I'm just like, oh yeah. Basically, I think bisexual males are men who are gay, but have to get used to that fact. You know, or like have to accept it by trying to poke chicks for a while first or something. You know? Because, look, I mean, it's like chicks are made to be mad, and dudes are made to meow. You know what I'm saying? So it's natural that chicks would be more interested in being mad in general, because being mad is passive voice, right? Whereas meowing is active voice. Two passive voices go together better than two active voices. It's like this. See, here I have two holes. They go like this. No problem. Here I have two sticks. They go like this. Ouch, 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 ouch. I think you see the problem. Okay, well, Lauren Cuthbert, you're never going to find MMF couple shopping, okay? Because there are no gay male couples who want to incorporate a woman into their party. So to get male, female, you're just going to have to find a couple of douchebaggy dudes who like to high five each other while tag teaming a chick. You know, that should be no problem at all. That should be very easy. Hi, Lijo. Okay, well, I'm a little judgy. Do I think it's kind of a douchebag move to be like a frat boy and high five over the back of some chick you're double teaming? Yes, I do. But that's just me. I'm not saying you can't do it. I'm not saying there should be a law or something. Okay, well, I don't forget they exist. I agree they exist. And my point is they're either part of the way to full blast homosexual or ESFPs. But I mean, look, you might walk in any day, someplace in a house or whatever, and see an ESFP fucking a pineapple. That doesn't mean they're pineapple sexuals, right? MMF all straight sounds like a very risky situation. I mean, it just sounds like a porn. Sounds like a porno movie. It's like there definitely are chicks who like who are very into being treated like an object in that fashion, and there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not critiquing that. Now, if the ESFP did exclusively fuck pineapples, then you might identify him as a pineapple sexual. Why are you mad at me, Lauren Cuthbert? What's the big deal? I mean, I'm just expressing my opinion that most American, specifically American, bisexual males are just part of the way to being fully homosexual. Why is it offensive? I mean, look, in my opinion, people ultimately settle down into a relationship, usually. My point about bisexuality is it's certainly possible to call someone bisexual if they're engaging in relations with both men and women on a regular basis. But if one is in a relationship, it doesn't make any sense, right? So if I'm saying I'm bisexual, then how can I ever be in a healthy relationship with one person? Because that one person is going to always know that they're only meeting half of my sexual needs, right? I'm not saying they aren't real. And I agree with you, Lauren Cuthbert. I've said, in fact, the opposite about women, that they're all kind of bisexual. And that to a certain extent, men are pansexual, which is to say that you get enough ruddiness built up in a male, then they'll eventually fuck anything. But the point is I'm trying to make is that that your self-identification of being a bisexual is going to impact a relationship with a single individual ultimately. Okay. But and there's nothing wrong with that, Lauren Cuthbert. I'm not condemning, judging, or anything. I'm not judging anybody. I'm not saying you shouldn't do that or whatever. But I am pointing out that if Rachel self-identified as bisexual, then it would be something of a concern for me because I would be wondering if I could meet her sexual needs, right? If I identified as bisexual, it would be a concern for Rachel, I'm sure, right? So the thing is, what one does and what one self-identifies as are different things. Okay, I mean, and I agree with you, Shamar Baron. I think it's possible to be bisexual and be fulfilled by one person if it's a healthy, true relationship. The desire for sexual satisfaction will diminish over time. I think that's ignoring the narrative component completely, though, right? You're with somebody who you're saying words to. Ultimately, this is about words, not about behavior, right? It's like if I choose to identify myself as such, then I am putting a huge word burden on my partner. And that's the important thing to remember. It's not about your behavior. No, it's not at all the same, Lauren Cuthbert. I mean, you got to be honest about it. For example, if I say I'm a heterosexual male and I'm with Rachel, well, she knows that being a woman, she has all the things she needs to meet my sexual needs. If I said I'm a heterosexual variant fixator, I need constant variation in sex, then that would be a problem, right? I would still be heterosexual, but I'd say I'm a heterosexual who needs a lot of variety in terms of women. Well, if I'm in a relationship with a woman, then that's going to be a problem, right? Because I'm going to be telling her, you're not going to meet my needs ultimately. There's an equivalency there with bisexuality. Okay, well, that's fine, Lauren Cuthbert. And that's a perfectly fine attitude for somebody who doesn't want to be in a single long-term monogamous relationship. But you have to worry about your partner's safety, you know? It's like, do you want your partner to feel safe or do you want your partner to feel unsafe? I mean, I don't think that's a fair analogy at all, Octavio. It's like, if I tell you, I want to live in the country and I want to live in the city, it's different than I like the idea of living in an apartment in the city, and I also like the idea of living in a condo in the city. You're going to choose one, but you know you're in the right place. If you say, I really want to live in both the country and the city, then wherever you settle, your partner's going to know that you're not really settled. Or at least that's what they're going to conclude from your words. So, well, Lauren Cuthbert, in my opinion, the thing that the real need that needs to be met is both partners need to feel safe, completely safe. So it somewhat depends on what makes you feel safe and what makes you feel unsafe. For me, I'm a big believer that the two parties in a relationship ought to be very affirming and reassuring to each other. That if am I not attracted to other women at all? Not really. It's not so much that I'm not attracted to other women as I have that part of me shut off. So once I'm in a relationship, I'm no longer on the market or in the market. So I stop looking at houses, you know? It's like if no, I mean, look, there is a reality that that I occasionally fap to porn, and that's a good point. You might be able to say, well, she's not able to meet all your needs, but the reality is, I fap to porn because she's asleep and I'm horny, not because if she were available, I'd have sexual intercourse instead. But I tend to want to ejaculate sometimes when she's asleep. You know, I don't want to wake her up and bother her. No, I agree with you. Look, I am not trying to be. Everybody tries to find any example of some sort of groupist shit and jump on it and attack that person for being groupist. And the thing is that it's never an appropriate attack on me. And it's just an example of you internalizing some cancel culture bullshit. Yeah, good partners don't wake each other up. Rachel doesn't want me to wake her up and have sex with her. She'd rather I just rub one out, you know? On a totally unrelated note, Bobby's son and his wife Margaret are going to Manchester to do some painting and meet a friend, you know. Oh, wait. Lauren Cuthbert? Could it be Bobby's son that you're going to end up making the sexual intercourses with? I guess my point is I'm sensitive, okay? I'm sensitive, and I'm easily bruised and wounded about sex and stuff like that. I find it something that's dangerous to treat lightly. And that's my personal experience and my opinion. And I don't mean to be projecting that onto everybody. I'm not trying to tell you what to do with your body or say that it's immoral to do these things or whatever. I'm just, from my experience, I'm imagining this couple who's pursuing a young woman, and I think, I wouldn't want to be that wife. I would think. Or a couple pursuing a young man. I wouldn't want to be that husband. It just seems to put you in direct competition with another person in a way that wouldn't make me feel okay. And I agree with you, Octavio Silva. I'm speaking my own personal feelings and my own thoughts. I'm not trying to apply them to every individual. I'm not trying to invalidate anyone's identity. I'm expressing my personal feelings on the matter. I'm not telling you that because you have an identity of bisexual, you are a bad person or shouldn't have that identity. I'm telling you that, in my opinion, if you, I didn't claim it doesn't exist. I didn't claim bisexual, the identity of bisexual doesn't exist. I never claimed that. I said, in my opinion, most bisexual males are just halfway to full blast homosexual. Well, I mean, it's my observational opinion. It's not something that I'm arguing from a normative perspective or prescriptive perspective. I acknowledge that the normative and prescriptive aspects of it apply to me only, not to you. Okay? You know, I have never and never will encounter somebody and invalidate them because of some random thing about their identity. I treat everybody the same. And I afford everybody the benefit of the doubt that they know what's best for them. So, you know, it's hard for me to imagine. And I grew up in a less woke time, you know. I said that bisexuality is a stage between uncertainty and homosexuality for males in America. I made that specific claim. Yes, I did. And I still make that specific claim. I concede that it's a generalization. I concede that I have no knowledge of this from personal experience, so I'm just sort of projecting my opinions onto everybody. But and you don't have to agree with them, and that's fine. But there's nothing homophobic about it. There's nothing groupist about it. There's nothing wrong about it. It's just an observation. Okay, well, you're talking to a bisexual boy at the moment who's very much into girls. Okay. So that means, I'm guessing, you're not planning on getting in a relationship with him, right? Or are you? I mean, if you are going to get in a relationship, is it going to be monogamous? The thing is, I get that people who want to engage in non-monogamy, that everything everybody's saying here about bisexuality makes perfectly good sense. Right. And that's fine, Lauren Cuthbert. I'm not judging. I'm saying, if you don't want to be in a relationship, then it makes perfectly good sense to want to have sex with whoever you feel like wanting to have sex with, male, female, whatever. And whether or not you include that as part of your identity is entirely up to you. You don't have to call yourself a bisexual to have sex with multiple different people of different genders, you know? My perspective is twofold here. One, it's an observation about people's ways of thinking about sex. A long time ago, the question of sexuality was often irrelevant because, I'll watch your video, question mark. I mean, what I think is the most important thing here right now in this conversation is a recognition of the fact that people can have opinions that diverge from certain norms, and we have to be really careful about trashing them because they have different perspectives, especially if some of those perspectives are considered normalized as a normative issue. So it's like sexuality, one's opinions about sexuality have been normalized as a normative issue. I am not guilty of any normative crimes here. So it is very possible to be guilty of such crimes when talking about these sort of things, but I'm very, very careful with my language and deft in my speaking. So while the things I say often sound like things that are bad, they never are. And this is a good opportunity for people who are too attached to their existing narratives to acknowledge that there are multiple frames of reference here, and that in the olden days, back before people had a lot of autonomy in their lives, really, it was an irrelevant question because you got married to one person and you were stuck with that one person for your whole life. And there wasn't one's identity didn't link to one's dating habits at all. Now it does. And there's nothing wrong with that. But it is a shift of worldview that that impacts how people engage in monogamous long-term relationships. So, I do think many men are more comfortable saying they're bisexual before they're comfortable saying they're homosexual. That's really the warrant here, right? Lauren Cuthbert, it doesn't undermine any sexuality. It makes an observation about American culture to some extent and the world's culture to some extent. Homosexuality among men is still not broadly normalized in the world, right? What's not what I said originally? No, you're right there. I see you. Why don't you put your link? That's why I made you a mod. So you put your link to your video you wanted to put. Okay, well, yeah. And that's why I specified America too. It is the case that despite the fact that things have been a lot more normalized, that homosexuality among men is still a bit of a stigma associated with it in America anyway. And so if you have a homosexual male in America, there's a decent chance that they will self-identify as bisexual before they identify as homosexual. That's a true observation, and not at all something that should be condemned. We're not undermining anything. We're having an adult conversation about something that is not trying to condemn individuals for their identity at all. It nevertheless is being honest about it, right? That because there are a lot of social pressures still in America about manliness or whatever, that in fact it's highly likely that males who are homosexual will identify first as bisexual. But regardless, the point is, you didn't put the link yet, question mark. The reason you're a mod is so that you can post a link. Until you're a mod, you can't post a link. When you're a mod, you can post one. So post a link to your video, then I'll unmoderate you. Hi, Winston's mom. Yeah, I got to go to the dev today. Yeah, I got to type in today. Thank you, question mark. I will watch it right now. Oops. Copy link address. Yeah. I mean, when I say something like, and I'm sure I have said this before, like, I don't really believe in bisexuals. I mean, what I mean is, obviously, I believe people have sex with both women and men sometimes, and I believe that they self-identify as bisexual, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I guess because I'm from a single relationship monogamous perspective, I see that as unsustainable in some way. What is the full meaning of desire? Desire, craving, longing, yearning suggest feelings that impel one towards the attainment or possession of something. Desire is a strong feeling, worthy or unworthy, that impels to the attainment or possession of something that is, in reality or imagination, within reach, a desire for success. Well, I mean, I can tell you this much, question mark. There was nothing about that video that irritated me. It was completely non-irritating. So congratulations, question mark. There was nothing about that that annoyed me. And look, I'm not trying to condemn anyone, you know? I don't judge people by their sexuality at all. I'm pretty sure my own daughter may even identify as bisexual. It wouldn't surprise me at all if she's had such experiences. I don't care. You know. Oh, whereby? I don't know if anybody really ever goes there. It used to be when I went to the video conference rooms a lot, that there was a fair amount of action there, like a lot of people in there talking with each other and stuff. When I stopped going to those video conference rooms, it seemed to kind of die out. But there's still a link to the whereby rooms at the bottom of every single video. So I haven't been there in a long time. There may be people there sometimes. I don't know. Listen, let's all validate each other's parking. Okay? Warren Cuthbert, Light Joe, go ahead and give me your parking tickets. I'll validate them. If we could all just validate each other's parking, what a wonderful world we'd live in. I'm going to stand over here and pee now. Please don't look this direction if you don't want to see my penis. Do you hear it? Do you hear the sound of urine? The fresh, delicious sound of streaming urine? Hey, big guy. Sounds like you're going pee. Yeah, I am. Good job, Eric. Thanks, Eric. I'm proud of you, big guy. Thanks, Eric. Yeah, I got a big day ahead. Gotta go to gotta type in 10 a.m. Gotta go to the desert. I'm gonna go down. They got a 2-bedroom condo. It's like a condo that's got they could be you could the way the door is between the two condos, it's like you can rent it out as 2 separate condos because there's a locked door between them, and so it's like 2 separate spaces. Or if you get both of them, then you can open that door that goes between them. So we'll have the bigger half. My dad usually stays in the smaller half. And yeah, I peed in a bucket. It's not a bucket really. It's what I would call a chamber pot. No, I got a paid typing session at 10. I'll find out who it is when I get there, you know. I mean, the thing is, there are also some true things about people that people don't like to hear necessarily, but I think are generally true. Like, for example, statistically, gay males have a harder time staying in long-term relationships. In other words, their long-term relationships last less long in general. So why is that? Well, I mean, it's because it's a couple of dudes, right? It's like, even if you're gay, you're still a dude. And so it's like, I don't understand how it works in terms of like who needs to protect who or something, you know? I don't know. I don't understand a lot of this stuff very well because it's kind of, you know, when I was young, there was a categorically different perspective on the matter. And it was the wrong perspective. Don't get me wrong. It was absolutely the wrong perspective on the matter. But you know, I really feel as though we are growing up as a civilization is growing up, you know, and there's a lot of growing pains in civilizations growing up. Right now, we see those growing pains. We see those growing pains with cultural relativism, for example. This comparative religions paper that Jeffrey is trying to write, the teacher keeps rejecting everything he tries to do because Jeffrey's trying to work within a framework, within an explicit framework. And the teacher is saying, Jeffrey, last time he recorded his teacher giving him instructions. What the teacher is telling him to do is that the problem with his existing paper is he's trying to impose his frames of reference onto other cultures. And that what he really needs to do, what the teacher wants him to do is a bunch of cultural relativism stuff. You know, it's like that all cultures are equally good and that we can judge none of them universally. Everything has to be judged in its own frame of reference. That there's nothing evil about Islam treating women like chattel. It's just that's good within their culture. So we can't criticize anything. Well, fuck that noise. I mean, that's talk about a growing pain of humanity, right? That's a growing pain. So too do I see sexual identities as a growing pain. So in other words, to call yourself bisexual is a different thing than to have sex with whomever you feel like. The idea that we have to have an identity label for sexuality is is a growing pain, right? So in the current culture, people want to express an identity in that fashion because they want to make clear who they are interested in or what they're interested in. And that makes sense if you're actively dating. In other words, you're not in a long-term relationship because you're trying to provide cues for other people to know whether you're in the market for what they have to offer, right? But it's this idea. It's this idea in general that your behavior dictates your identity, or that your identity dictates your behavior. Both of which are wrong. So, let's say I did have sex with a man at some point in my life. That wouldn't make me a bisexual. And the choice to call myself one would be a distinct choice from the action, right? And vice versa, too. If I were to call myself a bisexual, that doesn't necessarily mean I have sex with men. So, well, people use labels because it gives them more power being able to relate to others who share that identity against social stigma. People use labels for a lot of reasons, and some of them are appropriate and some of them are inappropriate. I'm saying that labeling one's sexuality as part of one's identity is not inappropriate, but that it's an adolescent form of humanity. I mean, it would be more useful if you could say something like that, Skygear. If you could say, I'm bisexual on odd days, or like I'm homosexual on odd days and heterosexual on even days or something. That'd be a little bit more useful probably, but I don't think people have incorporated that model into their identity. Okay, you're bisexual, so I want to know percentages. Are you 75% heterosexual? Are you 40%? It's like it's kind of a weird notion, right? You have phases. Okay. I mean, the thing is, everybody has phases in lots of things in life. So, for example, I have lazy phases, I have productive phases, I have angry phases, I have nice phases, etc. But I don't try to call myself a lazy person, when I'm lazy. I don't try to call myself a angry person when I'm angry. So that's what I'm talking about. The link between words and behaviors is all a ploy for you to avoid facing your own bi-curiosity. Based on what you said, I think you would try some peen if you were in prison. I mean, if I were in prison for life, maybe, because then it wouldn't be any, I'd have to break up with Rachel and I wouldn't be cheating or anything. I'm not afraid to acknowledge that I could have homosexual sex in some circumstances, and it's not impossible to imagine. I wouldn't even say that it's impossible to conceive that I wouldn't enjoy it. I might enjoy it a lot. Who knows? I'm not denying that I could really, feast upon a schlong or two. I'm not saying I couldn't enjoy having the back of my throat bruised. I could. Who knows? But I think that what I keep hearing here is basically people saying, yeah, but you're not in line with wokeness enough. And the fact is, I'm way more woke than anybody who would ever critique me on wokeness. It's just that real wokeness is more sophisticated than this, right? It's more sophisticated than just, having an opinion about bisexuality makes me somehow wrong, politically incorrect, inadequately aware of the unique depth of each individual or something. That's nothing could be further from the truth. I mean, the thing is, I oppose wrongness in every manifestation, and that includes things like, I don't think these labels are particularly good, and I think that adopting one of them or embracing one of them that is say bisexual is a problem because of potentially for people who want to be in a long-term relationship, because it's going to make your partner feel unsafe. You know, I mean, there's no problem with that reasoning. What part of my reasoning don't you approve of? Okay, I mean, whenever my FI7th is showing, that's a good sign that I'm right about something people get emotional about. Yesterday in German TV, there was a bisexual blind date, and a homosexual man and the homosexual was worried about the other also liking girls. Well, I mean, we all worry about something like that in our relationships. So, like, just yesterday, I pulled a Rachel. Rachel's periodically asking me things like, you don't think I'm unattractive now because of my haircut, do you? What universe are you living in? This is insane, right? Yesterday I asked her, I said, like, you aren't talking to any other guys behind my back, are you? I guess it was probably after hearing that Abraham story, you know? I mean, I don't generally label myself as heterosexual. I don't generally label myself as any kind of sexual. But to the extent that if you want to know what I'm looking for in life, it's a permanent relationship with a single woman. So that's a meaningful expression, right? Because sexual behavior has so much to do with larger visions of your own life. So in other words, if you envision your own life being operant not as part of a couple, then it's probably not a very relevant thing to worry about, you know? But I didn't say we can assume that all bi men are just gay and haven't accepted it. I never said that, okay? I never said that. You are, again, ignoring the carefulness of my language and conflating my careful words with wrong words. I'm not somebody who you can, I quoted a movie. Yeah. I said, there's this movie I saw one time with Christina Ricci in it. And she says, bisexuality, the last step before full blast mo of the American male. Something like that. I quoted that movie. Do I actually believe that's always the case? No, of course not. I think that there are some people who continue to be bisexual, you know, in their behaviors indefinitely. I think that there are, I want one single, not meaning not two, but just one woman. I don't mean I want her to be single. Obviously, she's in a relationship with me, but I don't want more wives than one, so to speak, and I don't want to get divorced and have to replace wives. I'd like, ideally, that I'd get a wife, right? You know, wife getting aged, and she'd be my wife till the very end. But that didn't happen, you know. Okay, I did say. Now, keep in mind, ESFPs will fuck anything. I did say that. So that right away, I was conceding that it is not the case that all bisexual men are actually gay. You just proved my own point for me. I did not say that. In fact, I specifically pointed out that ESFPs are likely to fuck anything. And Pablo points out, in the same show, two gay girls said that most gays will first out themselves as bisexual, so the outing is more smooth when they come out as gay. Look, I have never known a single gay or lesbian person who's ever had a problem with me and my attitudes towards them or sexuality in general. I've never actually encountered a person who I had beef with over the sexuality issue in real life at all. People don't like some of my words, but my words are not attempting to reduce, dismiss, be hateful, invalidate, or otherwise limit individuals' ability to express their identity however they want. So, I can nevertheless have opinions about things that you might not think are adequately justified, but that I concede aren't universalizable, and therefore you shouldn't have a problem with me having those opinions. It's not like I'm making claims about those opinions that are excessive. The thing is, I agree with you absolutely. Like, everybody doesn't have to agree. We can all look at the same glass differently. Fine. And also, there are circumstances where somebody does need to be called to account for their words. Their words do express a falsehood or a wrong way of thinking or a hateful way of thinking that needs to be condemned. But that's not my words. Those are not my words, right? My position is not one that needs to be condemned because of the careful way in which I qualify what I say. But I understand that almost nobody qualifies what they say as carefully as I do. So it's understandable for those of you who are inclined to use heuristics to judge things, that if it sounds like a duck and floats like a duck and quacks like a duck, it's a duck. All of my ducks aren't actually ducks. So just keep that in mind. I don't have any ducks. I have a lot of things that float and quack and look like ducks, but I don't actually have ducks. That's not 9 seconds long. Oh, Dulles' video. Oh, he's that INFP I typed, huh? Did I say INFPs are cheaters? See what happens to me every time I say anything? When I say anything interesting, everyone's like, inner light, 9 seconds. I like your videos. Question mark. Your videos are interesting. I'm really interested in your videos. They're very strange. What's this one of these girls roller skating? California Beach 80s lo-fi house mix? Staten? When you hit a tritone in medieval times. I have a bad case of diarrhea. Japanese learning English. It's interesting to see what I get shown along the side here watching your videos. Oblivion NPC dialogue live stream. What the hell is this? I'm curious.
Laid them on the table. I don't see them, but I usually lay papers only on this table.
What in the world? All right, guys. What is this thing? You guys have got to check this shit out. What in the world is this thing? You're pretty harsh to wrong people, so people are harsh on you when you're wrong. Yeah, I mean, that's totally fair. My point is, this isn't one of those instances. I'm not actually wrong in this instance. Just weird videos of this guy's with the same melody. I mean, what's he, you can discuss this weirdness at UWFP live stream, which is going concurrently if you wish, which is going concurrently if you are so inclined. What is this anyway? I guess this guy doesn't interact with the chat. Huh. What is that? You know? You told me what it was above? It's a running meme? A video game meme? I know what NPCs are. I get that. No, I think you're ignoring my key warrant here, Pitch which is if I describe myself as bisexual, then I'm telling my partner there's a certain aspect of my sexual appetites that you are unable to meet. That there's no amount of working with each other, conversation or whatever that's going to meet all of my needs, because I've expressed to you needs specifically that I have that you can't meet. No, wait, Lauren, hold on. Look, you're not responding to what I'm saying then, are you? And that's not okay. I'm saying it is the case that there is a fundamental difference between saying to your girlfriend, I found your channel, I watched both your videos already. There's a fundamental difference between saying to your girlfriend, if you were going to say something like this, I am heterosexual, you are saying to her, you are the kind of person who can meet all my sexual needs. Then you'd have to get a different partner, right? It's true also if I said to my partner, I really like anal, and she doesn't like it, then that would be possibly a relationship killer, right? Because, in fact, if that's critical for my sexual needs to be met, and she's not into it, then we're never going to feel safe together because she's going to feel like she's not adequately providing for me. So, I mean, that's an equivalent for sure. And I'm not denying that's equivalent. But saying I'm into anal is equivalent to saying I'm bisexual if your partner isn't into anal, right? I'm not describing every relationship, right? I'm absolutely not describing every relationship. I'm wholly satisfied sexually in my relationship. I have no outstanding desires left to be fulfilled. I agree there are many ways you have to settle in a relationship, and some are non-sexual. I agree. That doesn't invalidate anything I said. And Paulo, I get that people are tired of talking about this, but the reason they're tired of talking about this is because they're not making any progress trying to establish that I'm wrong in some way. That's why they're tired of talking about this. It's not that we've reached an impasse, Lauren Cuthbert. It's that you've failed to make your point. And I've successfully made mine, which is a very limited point. You keep trying to expand the scope of my point or make false analogies. That's not going to fly. Not today or ever. It's not an impasse. We've discussed it, and my very limited point stands. As expressed within the frame I expressed it in, which is very limited as well. And that's just all there is to it. It's true I'm not saying much. You can critique me for that, but you can't say that what I'm saying makes no sense at all, or that it's totally invalid, or that is not an acceptable position to hold. I mean, granted, Sky, I'll concede to you that I did something that looked a lot like backtracking. I don't want to overstate my claims at all. And to the extent that I did at the very beginning, well, I tend to put things in a provocative fashion up front because I'm trying to get at subtle wrongnesses, you know? Okay, well, but the point is, Lauren Cuthbert, we aren't arguing about who's right. We're arguing about whether it's appropriate to condemn me for my position. And I'm saying it's not. It's not that my position on this is not an example of groupism. That's my basic fundamental claim, is that my position on this is not an example of groupism. It's an observation about humans, human society, relationships, and stuff like that. Okay, so my observation may be wrong in some sense, or it may be an observation about a period of human development that's on its way out or something. But I'm not trying to reduce people to members of a group. Okay, and I'm not trying to reduce people who identify as bisexuals to members of a group who are lying to themselves about their desires. Okay, so, and I agree, it seems like that to a certain extent my original point was along those lines. To the extent that I conveyed that, I regret conveying that and retract it. My basic position is that I wouldn't want to be with a woman who self-identified as bisexual. How about that? Anybody have a problem with that? I was with a woman who self-identified as bisexual, and she cheated on me. So, not that I think it's that means women who identify as bisexual are more likely to cheat. That's nothing to do with it. I'm not saying that. In fact, when I got with my first wife, the fact that she self-identified as bisexual was not a problem for me. And well, Lauren Cuthbert, I can tell you this. There is not one shred of dishonesty in me when I say I am 100% satisfied in my relationship. Not a single shred of dishonesty there. I am 100% satisfied in my relationship. So it's not true that you can never be fully satisfied in a relationship. I am fully satisfied in this relationship. I'm completely satisfied. Rachel's perfect. I have no complaints. But of course, I am an ENTP with FI polar, which means my understanding of what a perfect relationship is has nothing to do with my emotions, really. My perfect relationship allows me to masturbate sometimes. My perfect partner doesn't have a problem with me rubbing one out rather than waking her up. INFJ. Dumpy, my wife is INFJ. And you know, extremely TE polar. But that's just something that I find adorable. Other people might find it annoying, but I find it adorable. Well, why, Joe? I think there's a slight difference there. The thing about ENTPs and INTJs, let's just leave it at those two, is both people don't really believe that what they say will get people really pissed off at them. But Okay, Lauren Cuthbert, talk about lying. I never admitted I was not satisfied or said anything that you could conflate to mean that. So for you to make that point is to simply lie. In other words, I don't expect the perfect relationship to attend to every single load of cum that comes out of me. The thing is, what's important is that we be able to have these conversations like adults without Lauren Cuthbert throwing a little hissy fit and running off, you know? It's like, I agree. My stating that I'm right does not make me right. That's true. What makes somebody correct is the strength of their justifications that substantiate their claims. But I have made very limited claims, so I only need very limited justifications to sustain them. Okay, well, goodbye, Lauren Cuthbert. You can go soothe your FI in whatever fashion you like. I'm not talking past you. You're not listening to me. As is very, very evidenced by the fact that you said, when I explained in no uncertain terms that the perfect relationship for me, there's no problem with me rubbing one out occasionally, that is not in any way, shape, or form an expression of dissatisfaction. That's a way in which my relationship is perfect. That's exactly the opposite of what you said. So, I mean, at some point you've got to just put your emotions away and go, all right, this is a sensitive topic for me, but nevertheless, Eric's dealing with it in an adult fashion. If it's any consolation, Lauren Cuthbert, I may have pooped myself a little bit when I farted not that long ago. I kind of feel like I may have. That should make you feel a lot better, I would suspect, because now you can picture me sitting here with poop in my pants. He so deserves that, you can think. And then you can go like this. Hee 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 hee. Everybody likes to go hee 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 hee.
Well, there are Buddhists.
Makes you want to see that movie. That's a pretty funny movie. Right. Skygear's right. Look, to the extent that there was something that needed to be pushed back against that I was saying, I backpedaled from that. And the thing I continue to maintain is not anything that anybody could dispute, but also it doesn't really have a lot of weight. It doesn't say much, you know? So that's basically true, you know, what Skygear says. And that's why it's important for us to listen to the actual word said rather than our impressions about those kinds of words, right? You mean Bill Murray's character? I don't know. He doesn't seem like an ENTP in the film. I really like that movie. I really liked the ending of it. I thought it was great. You know, the ending of that movie, we get to see Bill Murray's character do something extremely noble by doing something extremely ignoble. So, first, Bill Murray's character cheats on his wife with this Bette Midler lady. You know, it's like this person. It's a great film in part because the band that plays at the Japanese hotel is so archetypally awful. You know, just like there's this awful woman who's all into show tunes and being a jazz and how and then it's just this woman that you just want to go, oh my god. The first scene that band and this woman appears in, before you even know she's going to be a part of the larger story, you just go, ew. It's like exactly the wrong kind of extrovert, probably ESFP. So Bill Murray is getting along swimmingly with Scarlett Johansson, and but she's married too, and he ends up banging this Bette Midler chick instead, and the movie's brilliant the way it plays with the audience, because at first the audience, you're totally mad with alongside Scarlett Johansson at him. You're like, how dare he fuck that chick instead of Scarlett Johansson, whom he cares about, and he doesn't care about the other chick at all. And then you realize, he was preserving her moral high ground. He was preserving her identity and her everything he really needed, everything she really needs, he preserved for her. Because he understood that what matters most of all are words. When Scarlett Johansson goes to call out her husband, she needs to have the moral high ground. And if she had slept with Bill Murray, she'd have lost that entirely. So, I thought it was a beautiful ending. It was like, oh, right. It's easy to get swept up in the moment, but the most important thing is always the conversation afterwards. So, and so Scarlett Johansson's character was able to attain justice as she should have, rather than climbing down into the mud with her husband, I thought it was great. But obviously, I also thought I did somewhat identify with the Bill Murray character, thinking, there but for the grace of God go I, They were both married. They have no reason to expect the other to be faithful to begin with. Oh, you mean to each other? I see. Well, sure, but it's like they were both committing a crime. They were both in the planning stages of committing a crime. They were both planning together a caper to rob a bank, and then she said, okay, well, we'll meet again tomorrow to continue planning our caper. And when she comes back tomorrow, he's committed the crime with someone else. So in that sense, even though neither of them have any reason to expect faithfulness, it's like, if there were to be any juice, positive juice in the thing, for either of them, in other words, to make it pay off, to make the evil pay off, they really need to have each other. Bill Murray made sure the evil didn't pay off. And his character did. And in that regard, he afforded Scarlett Johansson the retention of her moral high ground, which personally I think is very important. So, you know, I haven't seen her or Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. I have seen 500 Days of Summer. Which was good. Rachel showed it to me. It has the guy in it who was from Third Rock from the Sun. He was the kid in Third Rock from the Sun. He's no longer a kid. Well, you know what? You have very similar taste to Rachel, Octavia Silva. Those are, I don't know about her, but Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind and 500 Days of Summer are both a couple of Rachel's favorite films. So you have very similar taste. Personally, I can only watch so much girly shit, you know? I got a limit to girly stuff that I can watch. By and large, most things that I watch, to the extent that they fall short, it's because they have insufficient swords, dragons, and explosions. Like Lost in Translation, I don't think it had a single sword, dragon, or explosion. How it managed to still be good, I don't know. But it did. I have very childish taste in media, in some sense. I really like swords and dragons and magic in my media. And truly fantastic grown-up films are hard for me to watch, even if they're really good. So, for example, Before Sunrise, brilliant film, incredibly hard for me to watch. It's the best film I've ever forced myself to sit through. It's amazing. If you want to get an FI polar person to really have a good concept of the difference between FI and FE in a movie, that movie conveys it perfectly. Before Sunrise, you are so in the emotions of both of the characters all the time. You're so constantly putting yourself in their shoes. It's a movie that makes you feel things that you felt back when you were 18 or 19 or something. It's a powerful movie. Before Sunrise, I don't know if I've ever seen a more powerful movie, but I couldn't stand it. It's not sad exactly either. It's just, it just grabs your FI and compels you to engage in it. Like, you cannot stop yourself from putting yourself in the shoes of the character. Yeah, for me, especially the guy character, and probably if you're a chick, probably the chick character, you know. But yeah, with the 2004 one with Ethan Hawke, oh my God, there was no possible way that anybody could ever describe Before Sunrise to me, and that would make me want to watch it. But no, I don't think FI is bullshit when it doesn't concern itself with topics that should be talked about, like 3TI. The thing is, I guess it's not 2004. I guess it's older than that. It does have Ethan Hawke in it though. 1995, I guess. There's Before Sunrise. There's 3 of them actually, but I've only ever seen the first one. And I don't want to see the second one or the third one. It's really hard to watch if you're FI polar. I think if you're not FI polar, it probably is even more compelling. Really, The Good Place. ESTP main character, entire character has either polar FI, huh? Well, you've seen it, Winston's Mom, seen Before Sunrise? It's like there's this scene, right, where they're in the park. They spent like the last 16 hours or something in this city in Europe, and they're lying down in the park. They've managed to get some wine, I think, and they know that when the train comes the next day, they're going to separate, you know, and there's a decision to be made as they're there in the park as to whether they're going to have sex or not. It's so well done. It gives me goosebumps just thinking about it. You can't avoid being in that FI spot when you watch that movie. Of being right there, being, late teens, unsure, and also sure, and not having any really good choice, like being infatuated with this person and being concurrently locked into your the squares that form around your life, And it's like the why is the guy character in Europe at all? Because he went to go visit this chick that he thought they had something special, and it turned out she was just like, "What are you doing here?" And man, it was such a good movie, but so impossible to nutshell. You can't nutshell Before Sunrise. It's the coming of age story of two individuals, one American, one European, who meet on a train and spend the totality of one afternoon, evening, and night together before separating again. I mean, does that sound interesting? No. It sounds incredibly boring. Well, what happens? They pay some guy to write them a poem, and the poem is read. And it's like that scene, right? There's Ethan Hawke's character, and he's so rawly open to everybody. It's so obvious to the viewer what's going on there, as he's having this internal conflict between wanting to be romantic and hire and pay this guy to write a poem, and then hating the guy for writing such a good poem. It's I've never seen a movie that made me understand FI as clearly as that movie did. Oh, this is FI. I can totally put myself in that guy's shoes right now. I know exactly what he's feeling. I can't not know it. Ethan Hawke is an incredible actor in that movie. I mean, just incredible. So is the chick, but Ethan Hawke's face is so expressive. It conveys like he must be a terrible poker player like me, What movies would a TE polar person find hard to watch? No, I'm not feeling cringy at all right now. I was having an echo of a younger self that was less clear, what would TE polar find hard to watch? I mean, things like maybe well, I mean, there was this show that used to be on cable that I occasionally watched, which was a woodworking show where there was this guy who do a project as the show. Like in this episode, we're going to show you how to make a stop board for your bandsaw that will make this part of woodworking so much quicker and easier. You know, something like that. She probably would hate watching that, I would guess. She's not really into Survivor Man like I am, although I think that's probably the most TE Polar friendly TE kind of show that I can think of is Survivor Man, because there's a lot of SI in that too. What's so bad about Rousseau, at least in the social contract wiki, in the introductory paragraphs, it stated he had pretty much similar beliefs to you about rights. The problem with the idea of the social contract is that it's predicated on the false notion that one can involuntarily and unknowingly and unwillingly enter a contract. That's the problem with it. It's an abuse of the word contract. A contract is something entered into by two fully informed people who willingly and knowingly choose to enter that contract. And what's happened with Rousseau's notion of a social contract? It's come to replace actual argumentation about rights. So if I say, well, but that's rights violating, someone says, well, you give up some rights, part of your social contract. I never signed any fucking social contract. What the fuck are you talking about? You know? That's not a contract. That's you saying, let's pretend the authority of the state is consensual. But it's not. So that's my problem with it. Why would that be discrimination in a bad way? I mean, discrimination is a good thing, remember. As a general rule, it is a good idea to discriminate in the sense that it's a good idea to be discriminative, discriminatory. If I'm not discriminating between precise distinctions, I'm being sloppy. We use the word discrimination now to mean discriminating against people for wrong reasons, but discriminating against people because, for example, let's say I'm going to be applying for a job as a librarian. If I have very low conscientiousness, it's not irrelevant. It's very much relevant. So that's not discriminating in some bad way. That's discriminating appropriately. Thank you, Bobby Son. I appreciate the fact that you watched that video very much. Thank you for watching it. Most of my videos just don't get very many views, is the truth of the matter. I rarely get more than a couple hundred views on a video. Personality says favor white men. Oh my God. Well, Sky Gear, it's also the case that that certain videos have legs, but the vast majority of them don't. So in other words, the vast majority of the videos I put up will have an initial run of things and then will never again be recommended by YouTube to anybody, pretty much. So On the other hand, if I have a video that meets sort of YouTube escape velocity, then YouTube continues promoting it indefinitely and it continues accruing views. So my my most viewed video ever is by Zachary. It's called How to Tell If an INTP Likes You. And it still gets views and still gets comments. And it's got like, I don't know, 60,000 views or something. But that's not inconsistent with what I'm saying. It's always been the way that I'm saying as far as most videos get very few views. Like, you know, there was this video link I put in the video chat last night called Eric Gets in Trouble at the Quilting Museum. It had 76 views. And it was from like 6 years ago or something. Well, sure. I mean, but Paulo, Quilting Museum is pretty precise. Now, granted, there probably aren't a shit ton of people YouTube searching quilting or quilting museum. I gave it to you already, Skygear. God. Right. I totally don't expect. I'm fine with it too. It's not like I'm complaining, Paulo. I want to stress that. I'm not saying YouTube should promote my videos more or something. I'm saying this is the reality of it. Really? That's really interesting, Skygear. I'm super excited about that. I want to see. I mean, that's a smart way to type. Really. Input the raw text. All right, let me get a thing I've written. Me, 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 me. One fine day, you're gonna want me for your girl. Oh yeah. Ooh, 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 yeah. One fine day, you look at me, and you can pew, 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 pew. Why are all these things? These need to be in a folder. God damn it. Why aren't these in a folder? This is annoying me. Let's see. This. Is this 100 words? Is there a word count tool? Let me see. That's 108 words. Okay, let's try this now. Okay, well, it calls me an ISTJ. This is what I inputted. A process has both duration and a specific time logic. The duration is not necessarily known until completion. The time logic may be real-time, turn-based, or some combination of the two. Elements of a given process deemed instrumental by an agent will be treated by that agent as necessary but insufficient burdens to be met before attainment. Until attainment, it remains possible that any given process will fail. And in the absence of attainment, having met those burdens proves to have been a waste of resources. Attainment, then, is the achievement of an absolute value. When something represents a goal fulfilled, then that goal is an absolute value. But how can there really be a difference if what is instrumental in one frame is attained in the other? Doesn't that make instrumentality and attainment variable statuses of something else more real? Instead, it was an ISTJ. Really? I've never met an ISTJ who would ever write anything like that. Yeah, well, Paulo, here's the thing. I have a lot of, I believe, compelling thoughts and things worth saying and worth hearing about a lot of different subjects. And in fact, I have an entire 7 years of making videos about all kinds of different subjects. And some of them, you know, if you really want to get results from subject videos, you have to be topical, which is to say, I've gotten great view results from a little video made about an earthquake that just happened, right? Like, or the fires here when we were having fires. Those got a lot of videos because those are news, topical news stuff, right? There are two kinds of basically topics, which are to say evergreen topics and updating topics. MBTI is an evergreen topic. I do have lots of such videos. And it's true that many of them are presented too messy and etc. And, it's one of those deals where you can't, it's very difficult to have your cake and eat it too. If you're going to be a person who is constantly ideating and coming up with new and good and interesting ideas, there's a concurrent deficit area. It's something I'm trying to work on. In fact, my current project that we're involved in making progress on is another channel that I'm going to start. That's going to be just specifically about intertype relationships. It's going to be me and Rachel doing basically videos about which two types how they work together as a couple in various capacities. They're going to be structured the same each time, short videos, about 10 to 12 minutes, and breezy. They're probably not going to be as interesting to intuitives who know a lot about cognitive functions, because they're not going to be designed to so much explain or teach as they are to entertain in a breezy way that has some little tidbits of insight that are fun or whatever. I often get accused or asked or attacked or whatever, things like, somebody came in here the other day and said in the live chat, how does it feel to have committed your life to a theory that's not even scientifically proven? And I said, most of our conversation isn't actually about cognitive functions, and of course I haven't committed my life to cognitive functions or MBTI. It's ridiculous. But the point is, it doesn't matter how diverse your channel is, you'll still you won't earn any points for diversity. You'll always be condemned for it, and it'll be ignored anyway. It's like, so yeah, I do all kinds of different shit on my channel, and it doesn't stop people from critiquing me for being too obsessed with MBTI, you know. So, and yet it doesn't get me any of the results that being all MBTI would. So it's like this channel is for me to explore my creative energies as I feel like. And that's why I have to make a separate channel that meets those kind of criteria that you're talking about, Paulo, which is, it is possible for me to have a channel that is designed and does become successful and is tailored for that purpose. This is not that channel though. And that's kind of something I had to accept fairly recently was, okay, I see what the NI issue here is for me. People always come in here and say, Eric, you should do meow meow with talking with famous people. And there's always, I'm always like, the reality is talking with famous people will never be anything other than what it is, which is just more Eric than anyone could ever possibly want. Basically. But the new channel will instead be designed to be successful. And that means it's not, but I have to retain this place or else my new channel will just become this again. It's like I am constantly spilling shit out of me and it has to fall somewhere. You can vomit hot, you just don't want to. We've got, I think, 3 images, icons left to do. Let me look over here and see which ones we've gotten done. We've gotten cups, cup over. I want to switch cup overflow into spigot, so we got to switch that one. We got birdcage, we got key ring, we got key, we got lock. We need, and then there's the ones from the previous time too. We've got scale, we got lightning bolt, we got interface. We don't have knowledge. So we need knowledge, which is brain, and we need still the sponge and automatic dishwasher and something else. Anyway, we've got a few icons left to work on before I'm ready to put together the visuals on it. Having Cameron help me with that. You know, Cameron's really great to work with. He's very much about once you've clarified for him, this is the plan, this is what we're doing. You know, he expects to work like every couple of days. No, Cameron's coming over and we're working together and he's drawing it for me. Here's another example. If you want to see an example of a video that Cameron and I collaborated on before, the example would be Spud Brow Spree. He did all the drawings for this. So last big project that Cameron and I worked on before, the one we're working on currently, was this. And this took quite a long time to do, but you know, that's the nice thing about working at ISTJ is you tend to complete those projects because as far as they're concerned, that's what you're doing and that's the project and they're expecting you to continue doing it, you know. This is a good video, and I would say that you may or may not think Cameron's a great drawer, but he's a great work partner, and uh, he's my drawer, regardless of whatever else you think. You know, in other words, he's the drawer I have access to.
The courteous potato man politely sell potato skin disappears to wear upon the chins of everyone with
These are his
cast
drawings.
potato beards distinguish one and also are a lot of fun, and when the wearing time is done then one can chew his beard like gum. But Frances is contrarian, so though she loves her tuber friend, she will not jump aboard the trend and leaves her chin as her own skin and class. She hears how Mr. Love proudly of his bushy brow, so later on she visits farms to eat potatoes with her chum. So likes her taste of poems, but beloved and high and low and no invest because of how he has the best potato brow. So Frances musters up her cute and makes up a sob story too, and soon enough her poe is sold both on her words and vision. Next week Frances enters into business with potato man with Sir Topo as her spokesman, an urgent hurry to begin, and thus both tweezers came to be. They formed a happy LLC and dealt with Browworks Company, and people had a spud brow spree. Spud brow spree. Spud brow spree. Spud brow spree. And now with Mr. Lau again, it's Frances' turn to present. But Frances doesn't talk of how she made it big in tater brows. Instead, she wants to talk of beards. But Mr. Lau, who's sick of hearing speeches on the beardiness and rules to prohibit it. But Frances works around this while she speaks of Dr. Catterwall to Rumney Hoogers, who was tall and pale, humorless and bald. But Dr. Hoogers also had a foremost place in making fads, and he in fact began the trend when he once hot potato chain. Claimed his chins were curative and great to who preferred to live, but secretly he added lead, which shouldn't go upon your head. When people started getting sick, the doctor pulled a nifty trick and changed his name and moved away so people couldn't make it mad. For all the damage he had done, he kept the money, made a run and settled near Frances' house and called himself now Mr. Lau. And Frances had researched a lot before poor tweezers, so she got the information she needed to learn her teacher. He is the Forest Service and the cops, the FBI karate chops, detectives roaming far and wide to claim reward on Huger's side. So when his student speech was done, then Mr. Lau began to run, and no one seen or heard him says it should be till he repents. But fast, but let's go to tweezers. I'm going on this spud brow spree, gonna get some brows for you and me. Gonna go back.
So that was a very big project, you know. It took a lot of time to complete, you know. It took at least a month to make that video, probably a little longer. You know, I'm subject to the following critique a lot of times by people that I'm somehow apathetic or don't live a life where I take things seriously and finish things. That's absolutely not the case. Like, you might not think that's a good use of my time to make that video, but no, it's Boba Fett. I am doing that very thing, except we're doing it with the inner type. Me and Rachel are going to do exactly that. And the reason it's going to successfully be that is because I understand it for what it is, work. It's not what I want to do. But the idea that I can't do work is crazy. I've done nothing but work my entire life. I've done nothing but complete projects my entire life. You know, when I became a coach at Rebay for the first time, the middle school team, by the second nationals I'd gone to, I had a national champion in declamation. It was my first national champion. Everybody has an arc to their life of some sort, maybe multiple arcs. you know. So, well, Pomelhot, the reason I showed that video of spud brasserie from the past was because I wanted to provide further information about the pictures that are currently, who I'm currently working with, and the pictures he's working on for me, and an example of us completing a project together successfully in the past. And not very distant past either. It was 3 or 4 years ago. I don't doubt, Pomelhot, that you're a lot more successful than I am. But you could live 100 lifetimes of yours, and you still won't get as much done as I get done in one. And that's just the truth. You might not value the work I do. You might not think it's time well spent. But nevertheless, I'm constantly producing. I mean, I'm proud of my work teaching children. I think it's noble work. I'm incredibly good at it. But I wasn't just teaching children, of course. I was the director of the school, so I had a fairly large staff under me. I did the hiring. You know, I interviewed people and hired them and bossed them around and such. Does that make you think I'm important enough now? I mean, what I'm saying, Sky Gear, is that you can condemn me for not doing the work you think I ought to be doing all the time, but to condemn me for being inadequately productive, to condemn me for being apathetic in some sense, is insane. When I say I've completed more work in my life than Pomelhot would in 100 of his lifetimes, what I'm saying is, you know, come at me when you got 6,000 videos done, you know, right? And the other thing is, regarding my work as a debate coach, I'm more proud of my work as a coach than I am as my work as a teacher, although I'm proud of both. Being a coach is very different than being a teacher, and coaches are not able to be replaced very easily. Good coaches make winning teams, and when you lose that coach, that team ceases to be winning. I've never gotten any credit for any work that any of my students have done. No. In other words, when my student won the national championship, I didn't get the trophy. Instead, I got to add to my coaching resume that one of my students got a national championship. And very few coaches get to add that to their resume. I was able to then add a state champion and a couple other national championships over the course of the next few years to my coaching resume. I also have a former assistant coach who went off to win national champions at the high school level in policy debate. But do I get credit for that? No, but I'm trying to address the things you're challenging about me, right? So, in other words, you're not really interested in having a meaningful conversation with me about anything. And that's true. When I was most on drugs, I produced the least, which is to say, when I was drunk, is when I wasn't being creative. So you're wrong about that as well. Pomelhot, when I talk about the future, I'm careful to do so. So in other words, the reason I've talked about my new channel multiple times is twofold. One, because it's what I'm working on currently behind the scenes. And two, because it helps me to stay accountable. That's why I'm talking about it. Is it in process? Yeah. Should you doubt that I'm going to complete it? If you want to, go ahead. I just showed you a video called Spud Browse Free where I worked with the same person. We completed the project, and it was quite a substantial project. Is that a relevant piece of data? Not always in process. No, that's why I showed you that video, right? So what you saw in that video was Cameron and I beginning a project, but nobody got to see any of the results of that project until at least a month after we started it, probably 2. It was a long project. Okay, well, FOMO Hot, here's the thing. You seem very, very much concerned about how I'm living my life and whether it's adequate. I would suggest that maybe that's not energy well spent. Maybe you should, since I seem to make you so angry, that maybe you should watch something else. Right? It's pretty clear that you're not interested in hearing what I have to say about myself or about anything else. That you're just gonna shit on it. So, goodbye. Right. And I have been making progress on it. It's like, it's definitely going to happen. That's why I keep talking about it. But one thing that I am definitely guilty of is excessive optimism about how hard or easy something's going to be. So when I first started talking about this new channel, before I started working on it seriously, I thought, oh, this will be not that difficult to put together. Then I realized there's actually a lot of components you got to put in place. You got to get all the branding, you got to get all the images, you got to get the sort of recipe put together. Like when we're in the desert this next couple of days, I plan to have Rachel and I practice just kind of freestyling a section at a time, do a couple of videos with the ISFJ ESTP, look at them. I need to really get my hands dirty into things before I can know exactly what it's going to be. And I ignoring, but we've got the frame down in terms of the, I guess, metaphors, the core structural metaphors that we're going to use. So we'll see how it plays out, I mean, I have a hypothesis, but it's completely unsubstantiated by anything. So it's kind of, it's entirely speculative, but I do have a hypothesis of what happened. This would be, well, I also, like the other day I was going to make a video called, I mentioned this before, Am I FOMO Hot Fiona Apple? Fiona Apple really pisses me off sometimes when she knows better and makes the wrong choice anyway. But that's not the equivalent here. It's not, something I did or said caused FOMO Hot to lose faith in me and to reveal that at some point he had faith in me. And if you want to see somebody switch like a light switch, all you got to do is betray their trust. I think FOMO Hot probably feels as though I betrayed his trust in some fashion. He's wrong, but so it goes. Well, I just shared one of the hypotheses right there. That when somebody invalidates, like if somebody uses FI in a way that undermines NI, that makes me really mad. So I'm guessing that I used his polar in a way that undermined his fifth in a way that caused him to react kind of explosively. As I did the other day listening to Fiona Apple, Delilah was playing it for me because it was like she had this song going, nice, simple enough first part, cool bridge. It should go right here. Should go right here to the chorus. It's right here. You can just hear it in your head just going there. And of course, she undermines the legitimate truth of the melody and goes someplace else. And it fucking made me furious. So that's possibly it. That I I used his polar to undermine the value of his fifth in some fashion. The other totally speculative hypothesis I had was possibly somebody who had been sober and went off the wagon. And this was just speculated because of the following notion thing that seemed maybe consistent with that notion, which is like the switch over from smart and interesting contributor to anti-Eric happened on a Friday morning, and then that Friday night he called and he was really drunk. It would be conceivable that if he'd been sober for a while and Thursday night drank and then was still drunk Friday morning and still drunk Friday night, that's the sort of thing that is at least a believable storyline in theory for someone. Again, just purely speculative about Paul Mahat, but those are my hypotheses, basically. Do I know who he is? I don't know. Well, Skygear, if he had been sober prior to that Thursday night, then he'll be a drunk now for quite some time before he gets back sober again. You don't relapse and go right back into the program or right back into sobriety. If you've been like sober for 6 months and then you drink, say goodbye to that person for 6 months at least. They're retreating into their abyss. But I have, again, I want to completely stress, I do not know this is the case about Paul Mahat at all. This is entirely speculative. Well, the fact is about the fourth, fifth is I don't usually like to express this way because it makes it too complicated, but I actually think that your fourth slot function is an absolute value in the in its native time flow. So SI for me is an absolute value in real time, but an instrumental value in turn-based, whereas NI is an absolute value in turn-based, but an instrumental value in real time. Oh yeah, that's way too much work, Skyger. You're expecting things of yourself that INGs just aren't cut out for that shit. I mean, I don't know if I didn't see it as tacky in particular. I didn't know what to make of it. Boba Fett reads Paul Mahat's money provision as an attempt to belittle, but I didn't feel belittled at all. I mean, the thing is, regardless of why or how, I was blessed in my birth, and my family has some money. We're not rich or anything, but the family is comfortable. It's not because I made a bunch of money. There were times when I made a good salary, but not at the moment. So my phone number is in every description of every video. So you just have to look into any description of any video and you'll find my phone number and my email right there. So I don't like to necessarily get into that, but that's my actual position on fourth and fifth, is that they're both split. You have the absolute value of the native time flow for each, and the instrumental, the non-native for each. And again, well, well, not again, but this is something that I'm concluded by basically extrapolating from my own experience. So this is one of the risks of being an SI person is just because this makes absolute sense to me doesn't mean it makes it works for judges necessarily. One thing I've come to understand gradually recently is that we really want there to be what's it called? Proportionality, I guess, or proportionality. We want things to be equivalent, like a single mechanical rule to apply in each instance equally well. But shit seems to play out differently for judges than it does for perceivers, because perceivers have in their first slot function either metaphysical or physical, and in their fourth slot function, the other one. So SE, physical, Dom, metaphysical fourth. Whereas judges, they have the same in both, like TI, Dom, FE fourth. Those are both metaphysical functions. So I think it's important to account for those distinctions in the mechanics and to note that the mechanics for judges are probably somewhat different than the mechanics for perceivers. Okay, I got to go now because I'm going to go poo again, or at least check to make sure I didn't poop my pants when I farted last time. And okay, so Octavia Silva, here's the deal. What you tell them this, that your parents had always been telling you that you were probably ADHD and you needed to get on ADHD drugs, but you just refused. You said, I don't want to be on these kind of drugs. I want to change who I am. However, recently you've seen that your little sister, your parents put her on them, and you've seen what a dramatic improvement it made for her. And so that's why you feel like you'd like to try amphetamines. Why are you going to a 7-hour testing? I mean, can you imagine? I actually have a typing in like 20 minutes, so I can't stick around. But can you imagine? Why is it that for me to get Adderall, I went in and talked to my doctor for about 15 minutes and walked out with a prescription? And Octavia Silva to get Adderall had to take a 7-hour test. What the fuck? How is that a sane world we live in when two people trying to accomplish the same thing have to go through such dramatically different hoops? Boba Fett, on the poll about the Star Wars world, did you pick Mandalore? Because if you did, it'd be kind of a waste. You just have lunch with yourself. You should go to a street dealer to get Adderall? How sad. How sad. All right, goodbye, everybody. I love you all. See you later.